Hi, welcome back to Cooking In with Stephanie. Today we are going to be making a sheet pan dinner, spring vegetables with chicken. It's inexpensive, easy to throw together right when you get home. You can do a few other things while it's working in the oven. This meal is filled with beautifully colored, delicious spring vegetables. I'll tell you what I have chosen, but you can really use anything you have on hand. The vegetables I'm using are cauliflower, broccoli, leeks, potatoes, asparagus, carrots, radishes, and some lemon zest. The spices you'll need are your favorite kind of oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, dried parsley, and paprika. And for a protein, I'm using 1 pound of chicken breast, but you really could use any kind of protein you'd like. You may have to adjust a little for baking time, so keep that in mind. The first thing you're going to want to do before you even cut your vegetables is preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Now that our oven is preheating, the first thing we want to do before we even cut the vegetables is line our pan with foil. First thing I'm going to do is cut the chicken, and I'm keeping my sheet pan next to me so I can add to it as I prep. So my chicken breast is 1 pound, which is really big. So in order for it to cook faster, I'm going to cut it in half horizontally, and then I'm going to cut it in half again to make it smaller. Now I'm going to place the chicken on the sheet pan. I'm going to swap out my cutting boards because you don't want to use the same cutting board for your chicken as you do for your vegetables. Now it's time to prep the vegetables. Let's start with the potatoes. The potatoes will vary in sizes. The important thing to keep in mind though is to cut them so they are about the same size to ensure equal cooking time. I'm going to cut them in half and in half again. Now we add the potatoes directly to the pan. Next, we'll chop the carrots. My carrots are kind of thick, so you really want to cut them into smaller pieces to ensure the same cooking time. Root vegetables in general can take longer to bake. I'm going to cut it in half to start, and then cut thinner slices to make smaller pieces. Now we add the carrots to the sheet pan. Next up is the cauliflower and broccoli. I like to cut them off of the stem and then cut each little stalk in half, probably twice. You just want to cut them into small florets, keeping the sizes uniform to ensure even cooking time. The cauliflower is basically the same process. Now we add our cruciferous vegetables to the sheet pan. And now for the leeks. A word to the wise about leeks. Sometimes when you cut into it, there's a lot of dirt at the base, and that's fine. Then we cut it, soak it in a little bit of water, and then add it to the sheet pan. Okay, so cut it, the end off, and then we cut it in half. Ah, not dirty. We got lucky. Now we just slice the leeks thinly, and then we will scatter them on top of our vegetables. And now onto the asparagus. First you trim the ends, and then we'll cut the spears into thirds. I keep the rubber band on the end. It helps with keeping the ends from running away. 2 cuts, and your spears are ready to go. Now we add the asparagus to the pan. We're getting there. And the final touch is the radishes. You can use as many as you want from the bunch. I'll probably cut about 4 off of the stems and then slice them thin. Now that you have them off the bunch, I trim each of the ends and then I slice them thin. Now it's time to sprinkle your final vegetable on top. Great job prepping your vegetables. Now it's time to season this and get it in the oven. I'm going to use about 4 tablespoons of oil and between 1/2 to a teaspoon of each of the spices we're using. Salt, and the pepper, then the garlic powder, then the dried parsley, and finally the paprika, which helps give it a nice brown color. And now for the final touch is the lemon zest, which gives it that taste of spring. Now it's time to put our beautiful tray in the oven. It will probably take between 25 and 30 minutes to bake. We'll set a timer for 25 minutes and see where we're at then. After 25 minutes, you want to start to check the temperature of the chicken. You want your chicken to reach a minimum of 160 degrees Fahrenheit.